Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, it's not exactly 8, but that's what happens in the news, right? Sometimes you get breaking news, and then you got to work on the story of the breaking news. I don't think there's breaking news anymore because you just go on your phone. I remember back in the day, they'd just be like, breaking news. And then some guy's like, I was drunk. Sorry. Like, that's what happened.
I
Bobby's here
do
with me.
I do miss the good old days of a news report breaking in to like whatever you were watching. Like
Yeah.
this just in, an airplane hit the Twin Towers.
See, that's your early on breaking news. My favorite one ever, I was in high school, senior year. OJ interrupting the fucking Spurs and Knicks. That was the greatest thing. I'm like, wait, what? And that's when they first started using, one of the first times they ever used picture in picture on TV.
Oh,
And they were
really?
like, so like we have this capability, so you can keep watching the game. So they're like, we know this is crazy, but once he started driving 4 miles an hour, they were just like, no, dude, no. So it's like, let's
That
just
one
take
at
our.
least you kind of get because it's like he was a football player, so you probably still care about the football game going on while he does this.
Well, and also, no one knew anything. Good morning, Aaron. No one knew anything at all about what's happening yet. It's not like it was like back then in the day where you could just go, "Oh, I read something on Twitter or whatever." There was no talk of the OJ murder happening earlier that day. So they're like, apparently in that white Bronco is OJ Simpson going running away from the police, and you're like, what? And then like as David Robinson just systematically breaks down Patrick Ewing, you're like, God damn it! And it's like, and then Nick Strand, you're getting all pissed off. It's like, can we not show this? And after a while, you're like, you know what? Just blow up the big footage of the white Bronco going 4 miles an hour. Is that AC Collins driving? That's crazy. He wasn't even that good of a player. What's that guy doing? Why are they not speeding up and taking this guy out? Why are they all driving 4 miles an hour? What is going on here?
He was like the guy in wrestling that's not a good wrestler, but just carries the drugs for all the good wrestlers. That you're like, why is he on the roster? And you're like, oh, I get it. He's the mule.
Well, and good morning, Dominic, and thank you, man. That was a fun one last night. But yes, he's kind of like that guy. But what's weird is that OJ already had that guy in Kato Kalin, who lived in his other house, who could have been the driving guy. But when it came down to it, he's like, that white boy ain't driving me around. He can be a pretty boy in the pool, but that white boy can do. AC, I need you.
Well, and if shit hits the fan, they're gonna treat the white dude a lot better than like OJ's gonna be the target. Now he's the white guy in the car if AC's driving.
Now, I'm sure that every sketch that could ever be written about the OJ thing has been written. But if you wanted to make it modern, imagine if that happened now and you were in OJ's the text thread with AC and Kato and all them about who's doing what. That would be fun. Like, go back, yo, what up? Where's your girl at? Ha ha ha. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. And they show like a waiter, then a knife, and you're like, holy shit. You're gonna be it could be a fun one to do.
I like that. I was even taking it a step further, like where it's OJ. Hello, Twitter world. I just almost nearly decapitated my ex-wife and her boyfriend. I'm now driving from the police. Send your stars.
Or even worse, it's like in the Twitter in the text feed, he just writes someone's like AC's like, how was your night last night? And then Kato's like, yeah, sounded noisy. Were you guys going at it? And then OJ's like, you could say I got head. And they're like, ha ha ha. But before we start the show with all our news and wonderful guests and all those things, of course it wouldn't be the POS morning show without a Charlotte the Stingray update. This is my update music.
I never hoped a stingray died more in labor than this Charlotte.
It's been 3 weeks at least that we've been talking about it. They're still getting huge crowds. Now, is there an update on the actual? But for those again, I guess who are new to the show and do not know, Charlotte the Stingray in Henderson, North Carolina, is a stingray that's been pregnant and was been in captivity with just sharks, no other stingrays for 8 years, and they couldn't believe how this stingray got pregnant. And some people were saying maybe the shark got it pregnant and a freaky baby happening. Some said like Jesus shark, whatever it was. Some said clones might have did it. Some even people, I think possibly just our show, were saying that some guy who works there went in there and slept with it. But I don't think other people breaking that story. But that might have been us. Many different things. They said it was actually a Genesis, which by the way, I'm happy I've almost learned that word without looking at things now from doing a stupid story, where your cell can split and become two inside in almost like in a Virgin Mary type scenario. But the baby has not come yet. Now, was there any other news? Like the other day when pet stores started showing off their baby lizards and stuff to get people? No. Henderson, North Carolina is all abuzz and fired up because they feel like they're on the map now. Because if you guys caught it on Saturday on Saturday Night Live stole our bit and did a whole thing on Charlotte the Stingray. They had an actress come out dressed like a stingray, came out, and she was being interviewed and being asked how she was born, or how she got pregnant, and they did the whole thing about shark sleeping with her and promiscuous and maybe the married thing. And I'm not saying Saturday Night Live's watching us, but we've been talking a lot about Saturday Night Live, and all our biggest views came from the Saturday Night Live episodes. So I feel like Saturday Night Live's not only getting lazy and stealing from Shane Gillis, they're also stealing from us. But they also had a black woman play it, which you and I can't afford one. So that's where it was a little bit better.
Yeah, that, or maybe they just saw one of our viral reels and they're like, "What's this Charlotte story?" And they looked into it and didn't have any of the context.
Well, no, our reels are perfect for Saturday Night Live because the comments you have underneath the write up sounds very woke and crazy, even though it's not that. It's like strong, independent swimming woman having child. She don't need no man. Listen to Pat and Bobby. It's, what the fuck? And it's not that. It's you and me going, stingrays are sluts. If I had hands, I would do this. I don't. So I just do it with my face. But yeah, they did that episode there. So who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it Henderson, North Carolina, for just getting too fucking fired up? They are so excited about this pregnancy. What is going to happen to that town? I feel like, when some towns have like a whole thing going on where they're like, they're dead, whatever, they had a factory going for a long time, then the factory goes away and they just become a meth town. I feel like Henderson is going to become a meth town or an opioid crisis the second Stingray has its baby. Because the business is thriving in this town. All the businesses around it are doing it. Lines going out the door. People are traveling there to go see this thing. Saturday Night Live is talking about it for the rest of their lives. They'll go back to the news where Michael Che made a joke and Colin Jost talked to the fake Stingray. In the Charlotte Observer, they wrote this article like it was real. They said they interviewed our Charlotte the Stingray. Yes, it was portrayed by so-and-so, and they said the person's name. The actor, I forget her name, but they did say, we can't share the quotes because it's too risque. But if you watch it, you can see what she thinks and how they think it could have happened. And then it was all just sexual stuff. But they even wrote a 4-paragraph article in the Charlotte Observer about this great interview happening from their town. Is it Henderson for being pieces of shit? Is it this dumb Stingray? Just have your fucking baby. I feel like you're faking your pregnancy because you wanted attention. I know Bobby said that first. I'm on board, Bobby. I used to be supporting. I really feel like this thing is not pregnant at all. It just wanted all the sharks were getting the milkshakes to the yard. You know what I mean? Nobody was caring about the Stingray when there were sharks. It's like, look at me, I'm pregnant and shit. Who would even know if they were pregnant anyway? Who gives a flying fuck? So is it them? Is it Saturday Night Live? Really? You can't leave us one story? That's our thing. You got everything. You got Shane Gillis. You got all the political crap that you're ruining. You got to steal our Stingray stuff. I know you've done dumb interviews before. Like you had a Chinese guy pretend he was a glacier that killed the Titanic and things like that. But ocean shit should be ours. I don't know why. I don't know why we're the ocean people. But fuck that. We were breaking this way before anybody fucking else. Our first show we did in the morning, we did this. And we covered Charlotte the Stingray more than Good Morning America, more than the fucking Charlotte Observer. Fuck you. You should be interviewing us and talking to us about the knowledge we have. We can almost say that word, parthenogenesis. Who's a piece of shit in the story? Bobby, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's not SNL or this story, just in general, sure, but not necessarily this story. For me, it's the Charlotte Observer. You have a newspaper. You quoted the SNL story and then couldn't use quotes. You couldn't have just hired a journalist to also be Charlotte. You couldn't have made up your own interview with Charlotte the fucking Stingray. Also, this isn't the first time. This isn't the first story they wrote about Charlotte. She's been in your town the whole time. We covered the story, and 5 minutes in, we were doing Charlotte impersonations. You got to go to SNL and steal from them who stole from us. It's the Charlotte Observer.
Our guest today is comedian Pops there. And Pops, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How you guys doing?
There you go. There's your volume. He's live from Henderson, North Carolina. No, I'm kidding. He's not. I don't know, Pops, you got to hear our story at all. Do you have a weighing in? Do you know anything about Charlotte the Stingray?
No, but I knew a woman named Charlotte who it looked like a stingray, but she never got pregnant.
Was she pregnant? Oh, okay.
No, we never got her pregnant. I couldn't get in through those flaps, but anyways, the Charlotte Observer. But I want to know. First of all, I want to know, how did they find out, was she pregnant? Did she have a little bump? did someone like? How does she pee in a cup when she's already in water?
Well,
Like, did they
this
just take the
tells
water?
us-
Like, how did they know?
Well, Pops, this tells us that you are not a fan of the POS Morning Show because you would know all this information. We've been breaking the story for weeks now. That's the mystery of it all. It's like Jesus too, Pops. So the stingray has become pregnant because if you've ever seen a stingray, they're very flat on that backside. It literally has a giant bump, and there's 4 pumps in there. And there's
sure
been no
it's not a
stingrays around
tumor?
it. It could be a tumor, which would be very strange for the kids who have been visiting. And when they get there and the day of the birth happens, and then just Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out and goes, "It's not a tumor, it's babies," and they come out. It could be that. But no, what we're saying is like the fact that this little town is beating up everything they've got for this story. They are changing their lives to be the town of Charlotte the Stingray. Their stores around the corner are all thriving off it. Everyone's pushing it, merchandise, all that stuff. And now Saturday
They got
Live is
Charlotte
capitalizing on it.
t-shirts and shit, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do they have Charlotte the Stingray T-shirts and shit?
That would be merchandise. Yes, this is.
Yeah.
Are you from Henderson? This feels like you
No,
might be
I'm
from
just
there.
like, listen, I'm normally just working at this time. Like,
No, it's fine, buddy. It's fine. But for the next story, when I give all the information, you can retain it, and then
I don't know
let
about
up to a
retaining
second
it,
interview.
you can give it, but I don't know about if I'll retain it. But go ahead.
Hey, Bobby, who's the new piece of shit in this story?
It's us for thinking this show was going to go well.
No, we got a ton. First of all, thank you to everybody viewing. We got a ton of people watching right now. Anyway, I think the piece of shit in this story is not Saturday Night Live. Listen, they have to when they're doing that news segment. I get it. You want to keep doing some kind of silly, dumb thing. It's like when they did a couple weeks ago. They had the frozen embryo on. You go light with something that could be something that someone is trending. You try to find something there. I don't think it's them at all. I don't believe it's the aquarium. They're doing, like I said, whatever they can do. I do think it's Henderson and / the Charlotte Observer for making this seem like it's the biggest deal ever. Carolina's had a lot of things happen in its past. A lot of things with racism, a lot of things with sports, a lot of things with death and murder, a lot of things with serial killers. And this story was written like they wrote those 4 paragraphs very loosely. And then literally in this article, it says, we can't tell you what was said, so you got to go watch something else. That's the whole job of a reporter, is to tell me what happened. You could put like the little stars if you don't want to swear, but to tell me to go get my news source from somewhere else, especially a comedy news source, you're the shittiest paper in the fucking world. That's ridiculous to tell me to go somewhere else with it.
Exactly. Like, that was my whole point. Just do it yourself. Just steal from the people who steal. It's like Chris Gethard said, everybody steals, just steal from the best. And we're clearly better than SNL. Look at our 30 viewers.
Yeah, it's like Bobby Heenan said, it's only cheating if you get caught. You know what I mean? 2 great Americans, Chris Gethard and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Those are great
There
quotes.
you go. Life, win if you can, lose if you must, but cheat at all times. Also,
Yes.
is what they said.
Always cheat.
I think they're the same
Always
person.
cheat.
Chris Gethard.
Bobby the Brain Heenan and Chris Gethard are the same person. Breaking news.
Chris Gethard in a fat suit. Bobby the Brains.
Bobby, you got a story for us?
I do. This one is a little more political than usual. As you know, we're not a politics show, but it's what's happening. Super Tuesday just ended. I was just thinking that, dude. This would be
I
brilliant
know.
if from
So was
day
I.
one you
Aaron,
made up
that's
the
awesome.
story. Yeah, Aaron.
Pops, you know, we have once every show, one of our stories Bobby shares with us is made up. He doesn't tell us or anything. It doesn't tell anyone, but we'll go into it and talk about it and find out later he was just trolling the shit out of us. And that would be the most elaborate thing you ever did, Bobby. Because the thing is though, Aaron, I did bring this up first. Bobby didn't know about it. But if Bobby brought it up first, I would not be believing this story at all. And I'd be Googling it every day.
Well, like you
That
said,
would be
you
great
brought it up.
long-term booking.
Yeah,
That's Bobby.
exactly. And you brought it up first, Pat. So my thing was that you brought it up, and then you brought up the idea of us making up a story. I think this is your long play to be like, oh, you thought you had fun? I made up Charlotte. I tricked SNL.
Listen, I made up a morning show. This isn't real. We're not live. We're not on there. We're just making Pops get up for no fucking reason. We've just made people wake up and then we don't even record it or put it out here.
Punked.
So I'm sorry, Bobby. Go ahead with your
No,
story.
you're good, man. Much like, so yesterday was Super Tuesday, and we're not going to cover the politics side of it, but something very entertaining came out of it, which was Charles Barkley made a statement that any black man he sees wearing a Trump t-shirt, he is going to punch in the face. Which in and of itself is fine, Yeah, thanks, pops. Then
No problem.
all these black people took to Twitter, like Mike Tyson wearing a Trump shirt, and like all these black senators being like, "You gonna punch me, Charles?" And it's really just turned into playing out on the internet of who's the tough man, who's the toughest black guy, and it's so funny that if I was like any black guy I see wearing a Trump shirt, I'm gonna punch. People would get real mad, but if Charles Barkley does it, he's a hero. So for me, who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it Charles Barkley? You're a basketball player. You do basketball commentary. Why are we talking about politics? Republicans buy sneakers too, right? Like, just I want my basketball without my politics. Or is it all these black people who have chosen to acknowledge Charles Barkley as a political commentator and then challenged him to fisticuffs to show that they're the more mature ones? Or is it someone else? I don't know. I don't have a third choice. Pat, we'll throw it to you first.
Breaking news. First of all, Bobby.
Actually,
it's
no, I
not
do.
Char-
Is it Lithuania? Because when Charles Barkley threw an elbow on them, none of them responded. None of them taught him a lesson.
No.
So we'll throw it to you first, Pat.
First of all, it's not Charles Barkley. I don't know if you're aware of this, Bobby, but Charles Barkley does have political background. Charles Barkley did run for mayor in political office in Alabama when he graduated from Auburn. I think it was in Alabama or Georgia, one of those two. And he did have aspirations for a while. Not that he should chime in, but he did have a little more background than a lot of other people.
I don't think Charles Barkley's run since he stopped playing in the NBA.
And so no, there you go. But Charles also, this isn't the first time he said something wild just to say something wild. If you know Charles Barkley, he's the modern day Yogi Berra. I mean, basically, he's just saying wild stuff all the time. That's the great thing about him and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie on that pregame show on TNT. Charles Barkley constantly is bashing the city of San Antonio in Texas. Every time they talk about it, he talks about how they have the ugliest women that there ever have been, and nobody would sleep with any women. And then they show pictures of women from San Antonio, and then he just bashes them and says it all the time. Barkley has been a controversial person since he became into the NBA. In Auburn, he was just a round mound of rebound. The world just called him a fat boy. His nickname was "You're a fat boy." And then he got into the NBA. Wasn't that round. Just wasn't 6'10". You know what I mean? But was strong and great, and with his size and everything, overcame everything. If there's one guy that I think can go out there and say, I'm going to punch somebody, it's the man who's overcome all this stuff, who's overcome his gambling addictions, has overcome never winning a fucking NBA championship when he's one of the best players ever, and everyone always gives him the Dan Marino thing, like, fuck you, you're never as good as these other guys. Shaq is constantly giving him shit, so it's not him at all. Is it black people for saying I'll fight Charles Barkley? Of course it isn't. This is the modern day social media thing. They can go out there and say they're going to get views now and do all these things. That's what they're going to do. Is it Trump from becoming this polarizing thing where Charles Barkley and black people argue about if his name could be on a shirt? No, that black people love t-shirts with goofy white people on it. They do it all the time. You know what I mean? Right now, you see black people wearing a shirt with Kurt Cobain on it, and he's dead. You know, it's always trending fashions and things like that. The piece of shit in this story is Joe Biden. And it's because Joe Biden is so boring and such a loser that the black people who are mostly Democrats don't even freaking care about him at all. They're just like, they don't say, the shirt doesn't say, if you don't vote for Biden, I'll punch you in the face. It just says, if you're wearing a Trump shirt, I'll punch you in the face. They don't even care about the other fucking side. Barkley should use this and go, you know what? I'm going to run against you, Trump. And that would be great. And you want somebody who might win? You want the groundswell? You get the NBA. Have you ever seen the way they vote for the All-Star game? It's illegal, and it's crazy. And they can stuff a ballot like anybody. Yao Ming beat Shaq because they just let China vote. They had to change that whole thing. They can get the world's votes in there.
Kind of like a presidential election. We let
Exactly. If you get Barkley with Kenny the Jet Smith as his VP, I'm voting. Or if you want the woman thing, Cheryl Swoops comes in to make Caitlin Clark. Boom, she comes. She's not going to make any money in the WNBA anyway, so she might as well come out and become the vice president of the goddamn United States, and then she wants to punch Michelle Obama, and then for no reason, even though it's like, wait a minute, that's not even on the right side. It doesn't matter. We're just punching people. So the piece of shit is Joe Biden.
I can't fight you on your logic there, Pat. It seemed very solid to me. I would say Charles Barkley was a fat boy, most notoriously known for the night before he weighed in for the draft, eating as much Italian food as he could so the Sixers wouldn't draft him because they didn't give him a good contract. He wanted to weigh in heavy. So he may have been a fat boy. But other than that, your logic's solid. Pops, who do you think the piece of shit is?
Well, I got to go with it's not Barkley. Like Pat said, Barkley, he's an entertainer. He was a sports guy. Like he said, he wasn't the best but he got through everything. He was that mid Carter. He was on good teams, but not
He
great
wasn't a
teams.
mid Carter. He's a Hall of Fame Dream Team guy. He's one of the greatest.
I know.
Ever.
I know. He's
You're gonna get punched by
I'm
Barkley.
just saying with all the teams, with all the. Huh? Yeah, no, no, I'm not voting for Trump. He's not going to punch me in the face.
No, you're gonna
And
fight. He's gonna say, "I hate Pops now." Now,
Yeah,
Barkley
well, that's
hates
okay.
Pops.
At least then I'll get some views. I'll get some views. That'll be worth it. Punch me in the face, please. I'll get some views. But it's not Barkley. The pieces of shit aren't the black people that are going to vote for Trump. I just think they're crazy and stupid. Like I don't understand. I know a female black lesbian that's a Trump supporter, which just blows my mind. Like that's like a illegal alien wanting the border wall to go up. I don't get that kind of shit.
Well, I mean, they made it in.
Well, yeah, but then that's like them.
No,
Okay, I made it in. I can't let anybody else in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Female black lesbian because black people hate going down on each other. So what are they even doing?
That's it. So I don't get it. Right? Unless she's the pescatarian.
Yes, it could be. And for those
Yeah.
out there who don't speak Latin, that's fish talk, baby. That's
Just a
right
fish eater. Yeah. I don't think it's Biden. I think it's the two-party system is actually the piece of shit in this because it was never meant to be a career. It was the gentleman white farmers to do a couple terms and go back and beat their slaves and shit, and go back and make money. It was never meant to be a career, and now it's a career. So it is now officially going to be the oldest presidential election ever. And honestly, I hope they both have coronaries before it.
Bobby, we have
Because
a second
we
sketch
need
to do
someone-
now. The sketch where people back in the day were like, how do we get away with beating our slaves? Let's make up a thing called politicians.
That's it.
I'm in.
So the piece of shit is the two-party system. Maybe
Good
she's
morning,
not a
Terry
communist.
D. How are
Good
you?
morning, Terry. How are you, buddy? I think you both brought up good points, but I think you missed the boat here.
Okay.
The piece of shit in this story is obviously the Paul brothers. Okay? We are seeing a huge...
Jake and Logan?
Yep, we're seeing a huge political divide. They're famous for having celebrities fight each other. Let's set up some matches. Let me see Charles Barkley versus Mike Tyson. Let me see Greta Thunberg versus that kid who was wearing the Chiefs outfit. You know what I mean? Let's team up. If you're Team Trump and you're a celebrity, you're Team Biden, and that's how we should choose the president. Let's be honest. All the elections are fixed anyway. Let's let them
So
duke
like
it
a
out.
celebrity, like a real life celebrity death match.
Yes, except for more like what was that? The Ultimate Fighter, where it was team versus team. So you get to
Yeah,
pick
okay,
one
yeah.
person in each weight class that's a celebrity.
I
And
like
then
that
at the
Pops
end,
was like,
the-
oh, wait, is it like a thing that's older than the reference I just did?
Yeah. Well, I'm old, man. I'm old. That's why my name's Pops.
You're my
It's
age,
Grandpa.
motherfucker. What the fuck?
Wow, Pops, you're doing great if you're Pat's age. I thought you were like 20 years younger.
I'm 58, man. I'm 58.
Oh,
Dude,
he's 10 years
you look
older
great.
than me. All right.
You look fantastic,
Thank
Pops.
you.
You're killing it.
Oh, well, it's that 80s diet, the 8-ball diet.
Oh,
Cocaine,
I know
baby.
it quite well. I had it
But
for
now it's
breakfast
just
about
now
30
it's just
minutes
the
ago.
fentanyl dye, so you can't do that shit.
But yeah, I would love to see that. Like, who would be? So obviously, you got Barkley versus Tyson. That's going to fare well for Team Trump. But I think there are a lot of UFC fighters that would probably fall on both sides. So we'd probably just end up with a pretty good UFC card, to be honest. There are
So
birds
who would
fighting
Taylor
out my
Swift go
window.
against?
Candace Owens.
I'd love to see that. My wife loves Candace Owen. She watches
be
it.
a
I have
great
to leave the
fight.
room.
I'm going to be honest.
to
Taylor
leave the room.
Swift grew up in central Pennsylvania, so that bitch can wrestle. Like, trust me, she knows how to scrap.
All right. We're not going to have any Taylor Swift bashing on this fucking program. That's what we're not going to do in any way. I will fight anyone who bashes her. I am
Who's
a
bashing
closeted
Swift?
Swiftie. I'm just saying you don't bring her into a fight in any way. Anyone wants to bring her into that fight, they're fighting me. I will fight Charles Barkley to defend the honor of Taylor Swift. She's like the female James Taylor. That's why her name is Taylor. They've come into this. It's James Taylor Swift. It's the same fucking thing.
I was just explaining from based on geography where she grew up, she could probably handle her own.
No,
Like,
you
the
said
girls in that area
Pop brought
tend
her
to
up
wrestle the
fight,
men.
and I'm like, I'm gonna fight anyone. I'm like Charles Barkley. I'm off the hinge. I'm gonna fight anybody who wants to fight my Taylor Swift.
Oh, sorry, I'm a feminist.
You're Taylor
Yeah.
Swift. Okay.
Mine. I own one.
Now you had taste that.
Not the one you're thinking of. I have
You
like a
own
TJ
one?
Maxx version of a Taylor Swift. Yeah, I own a Taylor
okay.
Swift. Yeah, I do. Just like you say, we can be politicians and own a slave. You can't own a slave anymore, but you can own a white woman. No one cares as long as you let them talk.
There you go.
No one gives a shit.
Unless if you're
Yeah,
R.
but we
Kelly.
don't want them to talk. So
R. Kelly never did anything to white women because you can see the pee on them.
yeah.
You have to think about Bobby the logistics. You can see the pee running on them. I hate to say it, but the black complexion, the pee just blends in, and you're like, all right, I didn't see it in the dark. It's disgusting and terrible, and I don't support it. I'm just saying I get the science.
Okay.
Did he say it was better than cocoa butter? Is that why he was trying to get it?
I don't think it was because they were ashy, but that could be one of the theories.
Terry's absolutely right. By the way, the entire state of Pennsylvania knows Reading's a shithole. Like, I make a reference to going to Reading anywhere, from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia. They're like, oh, yeah, that place blows. That's sketchy. So he's
Every
right.
area
Anyway,
has that. So if I said to Pops, what's the shithole of Western Massachusetts? Pops would
Holyoke.
say, there you
Holyoke.
go. Holyoke is that same place. You know what I mean? Connecticut, we have several depending on your area and who, depending on what you think of people. East Haven's a bit nice dump in the one in a certain area. Anywhere near the
Bridgeport.
casino, it's bad. Bridgeport's more like hood and gang. So you're kind of saying you're racist if you say Bridgeport. So you have to kind of say things around it, but you mean Bridgeport. You know what I mean? You want to say it. It's like in New York when you want to say Harlem, but you can't. You're like, Queens. It's like, is it really Queens? I don't think it's Queens. So it's the same kind of thing. That's the same way where I would say Chicopee, because Chicopee is just like one street is just Portuguese people, then one street is just Hispanics, and then one street's white trash that gets their drugs from those two other streets. And that's it. But
Well-
they all work in Holyoke.
and I would just say,
Well, Holyoke used to be
all
a
of
Polish, a
Connecticut.
French town, and a Polish town. Now that was owned by Jewish people when the Hispanics pulled in. And I grew up there in the 70s, and it was always like there was always a fire. And the thing was, Ira, I heard you had a fire. He goes, no, that's next week.
Yeah, they would have it scheduled. Oh yeah, I used to deliver Tropicana in on that main street in Holyoke, and all the little bakeries and stuff like that would always talk about that when they had to rebuild again because
Yeah.
the fires that would happen and the insurance fraud
insurance.
and all the craziness.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I am. That is me from the Davy Mac Sports program. I'm Dave's producer, and we do the satellite show.
And the
Oh,
fun
very
with
cool,
dirt
man.
goes all the way back then, so that's cool. Welcome,
Hell
fun
yeah,
with
dude.
dirt.
Fun with
What
dirt.
kind of fun
Cool.
can you have with dirt? Yeah,
I would
Bobby. I
imagine a
forgot
lot.
you do that show sometimes, but then on Sundays I get reminded when all the promotion happens. I'm like, oh yeah, Bobby's on that show. It's like
Yeah,
Bobby's all over the place.
Yeah,
You are.
That's what I think it's funny you guys divide the state of Connecticut into shitholes when I just refer to all of Connecticut as the shithole. When you
Right,
said,
but I
"What's the
also
bad
refer
part
to
of
all
Western
of-
Mass," I go Connecticut.
Right, but to be fair, when I hear about Pennsylvania, I think all shithole too. Because like same thing with like their city is like Walking Dead right now in Philadelphia with all the drugs.
Oh.
Pittsburgh, no one
They-
even
they
thinks
actually
of
have a-
Pittsburgh and them as the same thing. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's like they
That's
actually
fair.
have a 24-hour cam on Kensington Ave in Philadelphia, just so you can see the zombies. It's crazy. Like I
beauty
saw
of
my
it was-
first zombie this year when I went to Kensington. We were in Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, dude dropped his keys. I'm like, he's taking like 5 minutes to pick up his keys. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
Kensington Shake.
you
Yeah.
got the Amish people. You've got so many weird things in there going on. But the only good thing you have is Pittsburgh is that sandwich, the Promontes thing with the fucking
go with the
coleslaw
French
and
fries on it. Yeah.
Even that's not that great. They've kind of franchised and gone downhill, but we acknowledge it. It's like Socrates. We know how shitty we are. We call it Pennsylvania for a reason.
We call ourselves Connecticut Hunt.
Okay.
I'm a
then you know
mass-
They're
what?
massholes. Yeah, so
I
it's
am
like-
definitely a masshole. I resemble that remark.
Yeah, I
We
think
all
that's
do.
why I respect people from Boston. I didn't know Connecticut called Connecticut Hunts. So, you know what?
Yeah.
You're right. I yield the floor. Pat, what do you got? What's the next story?
All right. Did you guys either one of you hear about what happened this weekend with Nick Swartzen over in Colorado?
Yeah, we were talking about it last night at a mic.
Well, if comics probably know this right away, but Nick Swartzen was performing in Beaver Creek, Colorado, performing in a little theater, and he went up there and he kind of was just rambling on and doing whatever. He started to like really just mumble and not really say a lot of shit. The crowd was kind of like, "What's going on?" Now, if you know Nick Swartzen and his act, Nick Swartzen is like we talked about Bobby before, somebody who will do weird shit on stage and odd things. So I think the audience was giving him a little bit more play than they normally would, thinking, "Oh, maybe this kind of bit thing." and he said, I'm going to do impressions. He started to mention he's going to do an impression. By the way, very specific. I mean, he's going to do an impression of Jason Statham from The Beekeeper. And then he just kept going, so you ready? You guys ready for it? You want me to do it now? Am I going to do it now? And he would never get to the impression where the crowd just started booing. And the crowd was just like, bro, get off the stage. And he said out loud, do you guys not want me to finish the bit? And they're like, no, don't finish it. They scream out at him. So he starts rambling a little bit more. The main stage spotlight goes off. Then a guy walks out, who's obviously in charge of the theater, whispers something to Nick. Nick looks at the audience, gives a wave, and leaves. With the performance only being like 20 minutes in or so. And then this man announces, I am sorry. We have decided to stop the show for all the reasons that you've been seeing here. We will get you a refund, or you can get credit to another show, or whenever Nick comes back. We apologize. And they cut the show short. Nick Swardson took, now most people didn't know this because who the fuck knows what happens in Beaver Creek, Colorado. On Monday, Nick Swardson took to Twitter and by waking up said, oh, apparently I just woke up to me being on TMZ. Maybe I shouldn't combine alcohol, edibles, and high altitude. My bad, Beaver Creek. I'll be back. I'll make it up to you. And then people were like, fuck you, what is this, whatever. And that being said, Nick will now some people I've seen say, not many, most are saying, oh, what a drunk, Nick's got problems. Some people have said, was Nick doing something in the way, hey, a couple months ago when Mark Norman was in New York and that production group came out and did this thing to make Mark leave, and they're doing it for footage for something else. Every time something happens like this, there's always that thought of, is this staged for something else that's going to happen later on? Because if you're offering the refund right away, you have a guy coming out right away, you've got a man set up to already go, hey, everyone, I apologize, here's the refund. Usually when you're running shit like that, Pops has put on shows, not him and I have never put on shows at that level. Bobby, you've been part of shows. Right away, your first thing is like, let's save this fucking thing because we want to keep the money and you don't want to give back the money. But usually you don't have a game plan right there. You usually go, please email me by Monday and we'll figure out a way to get your money back or a refund. Please just come to another show. Don't make me give you the money. I've already spent it on cocaine. So I don't need you to do that at all. So it could be that thing. But with this happening, Nick Swardson's had a run of things that have been happening. He's had to cancel shows in Connecticut where people said it was because of illnesses, but then he was performing a week later somewhere else close by. So don't know if this is an ongoing thing. But who is the piece of shit in the story? Is it Nick Swardson for walking off stage? I've never been drunk and high on edibles in high altitude performing before. But I do know, and I know when I did drink, I didn't really go on stage and do that. I always drank afterwards. And I've been on stage high maybe once or twice. But I do know no matter what, I would have tried to get through the performance. If they walked out and took me off, yes, I probably would have a little bit more of a fight. But if the place that's paying me says, hey, we'll still, because the whispering probably was, dude, what the fuck? We can't, no one can understand you. And he went, they're like, can you leave? He'll go, are you still paying me? And if they said yes, he just does this. Because of course, but if there's like, no, we're not going to pay you, then you go, I'll fucking figure it out and you do your show.
Get through it.
Is it that guy for walking out there and saying, what the fuck is going on here? You got to go. Fuck this. Everybody take the fuck off. You have a place full of people. You're Beaver Creek, fucking Colorado, whatever the fuck it is. No one gives a fuck about this area. This is the best thing that ever happened. They're waiting for a Charlotte to Stingray. They don't give a shit about this. This is their big fucking moment. Is it TMZ? I'm no offense to Nick Swardson. Nick Swardson is not worth TMZ. He should be in the Charlotte Observer. I like Nick. Funny guy, but definitely isn't worth that kind of buzz. And this isn't crazy. He didn't get punched by somebody like Chappelle or attacked or anything. He was just drunk on stage. That was comedy forever. Before cameras, a lot of times you do a show. I've done many shows, local level, wherever, where the guy on stage is just drunk and fucked up, and you just laugh as you hope he sees the light, and if not, you go up after him and shit on him. Now, I know there's not anyone going up after him, but still, you're kind of acting a little too crazy with all this kind of stuff. Is it the people who were booing? Listen, the guy said I'm going to do an impression, and then he's rambling on. Trust the performer. He might be doing a bit. And he's not going to come out now and explain that later. I was doing this dumb thing. It didn't work. It's a shit bit. But him going, come on. I don't know the movie The Beekeeper. I'm not really familiar with a lot of Jason Statham's work where he speaks. I know the fighting parts. But maybe that was him making fun of him going, you guys ready? You ready? I don't even fucking know. But either way, when he says, do you want me to finish the bit? The fact that they all in unison yelled no tells me they're not a fun group of people fucking anyway. I'd be like, yeah, dude, keep struggling. This is hilarious. I like watching a train wreck sometimes. So who's the piece of shit in the story? Pops, please go first.
Well, if it's not, I'll use a wrestling term. If it's not a work where it's fake, like you said, and he's setting it up for something later, then I'd have to say it's Nick for being that fucked up on stage. Now, I can say for once, I got to see Ralphie May, the Hukilau up here that was in
Yep.
Chicopee that used to have great shows. Saw Ralphie May. God rest his soul. It was great. But he came out and he sat down and he goes, listen, I'm really hurting. I'm on pain pills. We can either give you your money back or I can just sit here and talk for 2 hours. And he just sat there and talked for 2 hours. It was great.
Yeah,
If he was,
I've seen
you know,
Ralphie.
taking that many
For those
edibles,
who don't know, real quick, Pops, just so people don't know, Ralphie was like the fattest man you've ever seen. Some people might know who Ralphie was. Well, didn't never got to that super high level, but he would have gotten to if he didn't pass away for being the fattest man anyone's ever seen.
second, I'd say second because John Panette was pretty big too.
He way bigger.
But,
I met them both. I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
Ralphie May. I worked
Okay.
in Foxwoods. Ralphie May was a monster. He was trying to sneak in. He was doing the theater at the Fox Theater at Foxwoods, and I was with Bob Marley across the hall at the comics at Foxwoods, and they were good friends. And Ralphie was going to sneak over. And we're like, well, how do we sneak you over? We had to put him in the corner where we used to keep the piano. No joke. And put the piano tarp over him for about so no one would notice because he just looked the size of a fucking piano. And then we took it off and he walked up on stage and it took forever to walk up there. And they just like talked for a couple of minutes. He was the biggest fucking man. But it's really cool that he gave that offer. Nick could have done that. Hey man, guys, I'm fucked up. You know, whatever. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be. You guys just want to be silly with each other and you just mind getting through this. And if you know, if someone has a problem at the end and you don't like the show and you didn't enjoy it, then let us know. I'll personally refund you and do whatever myself. I think people would have been more on board. But there's a difference between being on pain pills and being suffering in pain and also being just fucked up and drunk on edibles because that he doesn't have the mindset to do that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. You know, and one last thing about Ralphie May. Ralphie May was the runner-up on the first season of Last Comic Standing, and he actually should have won, in my opinion.
According to you, I think Voss needed that win.
Well, no, yeah. Oh, Rich Voss, but at the finals, him and Dat Fan, he was through the whole season, he was funny. He just had a bad last set talking about Crenshaw gas and leaves coming out. That's all.
It wasn't because of the set. That stuff's predetermined way before. They were going to give it to an Asian guy. I think Voss should have won the whole fucking thing because fucking Voss.
Oh, I love him. It was great. Him and the other guy that were in the hot tub the whole time. His buddy. I forgot his name. But
and by the way, yes, boom. I want to give fun with when you tell a dad joke, we have to give it its props.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Time.
I chuckled when I read that in the chat.
And then Ralphie was twin, but ate the other one in the womb. We got another. I can see why Eastside Dave likes this guy.
Yeah, fun with dirt. I get it. It's great. But yeah, to me, it's Nick. If he was that fucked up on edibles, and his thing, he's a weed dude, so he should know his tolerance and drinking. Yeah, it's definitely my Nick is the piece of shit in this.
Bobby,
I gotta disagree. It's Nick Swartzen we're talking about. You know what you're dealing with Nick Swartzen. As much as I love Artie Lang, it's like booking Artie Lang. There's a 75% chance it's going to be a problem when you have Swartzen. He likes to drink. He likes to do drugs. Pat, you said you've never been super high on edibles and drunk on stage at the same time. Well, let me tell you, buddy, I have. One time I took some edibles, forgot I did that, got to the show. They started to kick in. I was doing a couple shots with some fans, and then I went, oh, God. I have no short-term memory. So you go to the bathroom, you splash some water on your face, you have a chat with God, you go, I'll never do this again if you get me through these 30 minutes, and you get through the show. But for me, the piece of shit in the story is whoever his feature or handler or manager is, like, you need to figure that out before he gets on stage, which maybe they did, and that's why the guy was able to come out so quickly and be like, it's a refund, the show's called. But like, if Pat, let's say I was on the road with you, right, and I knew you like to do edibles and stuff, as the feature, I'd be like, all right, buddy, where are we at? And if you were at a point where I thought you could do 20 minutes before they booed you off stage, I'd stretch my time, the host would stretch, you know what I mean? Like, somebody's got to be there sober to figure this shit out. So maybe they had a plan, but he's been...
yes. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
I was just going to react to what you just said. You are correct in that logical mindset that you're using right now. But when you're at Nick Swartzen's level, where is it the greatest level? No, but he's basically like the old 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is now the 6 Degrees of Adam Sandler. How close are you to Sandler in the show business to do whatever? And it really is. So most of Swartzen's shit comes from Sandler putting him in a lot of things. So people know him from a lot of stuff. Therefore, in Hollywood, things like that, he has some pull and some say. And ego hits certain people, especially people that are usually addicts and stuff of that nature. So when you are an addict, you don't usually keep people around you that would say what you said, Bobby, because yes, you are, that's being a friend, but then you would challenge something. So you keep enablers. That's why we always meet those comics that we always go, wait, that guy's from my town. He's not funny. How is he opening for that famous guy? Well, he's opening for that famous guy because he'll just carry the drugs, like you said earlier, or
Yeah.
just say no problem. And then keep management. It's true. You keep management around you. You're paying all them. Everyone is now, their paychecks, their livelihood is based on your touring, your shows, that stuff. If I get my gigs through you, if I'm your manager, if I'm your publicist, all those things, I'm in Nick Swartzen business along with other things too. So if Nick doesn't say a problem, and you know Nick doesn't like it if you say there's a problem, and you don't want to deal again with the logistics nightmare that you always deal with of canceling 2 days before and having to reschedule and dealing with ticket sales, you hope he can get through this one. That's what you hope. And you're like, hey, can he get through it? So what the opening act is probably doing is going, hey, you want a coffee? And he's like, why would I want a fucking coffee? I'm fucking drunk and I'm on edibles. He's like, but that's a fun mix. You know, coffee. You gotta like almost like placate him. It's like, you love coffee. You do a coffee bit when you hold coffee out there. You know what I mean? Or maybe cocaine or something to wake up. I don't know. I don't think anyone in his group would ever challenge him because at that level. At our level, yes, if you came to me and said, hey, Pat, you seem like, this or that. You and I do edibles 3 hours earlier, and I thought they were going to wear off, and they didn't. You're like, hey, you good, dude, like today? I mean, I know I'm good. I can do 10 more minutes, Pat. You want to do 10 less minutes? I'd probably like, if you think so, bro, I would trust you because we know each other, and I wouldn't want to ruin the performance, and I want us to come back and go perform somewhere. But in this level, it's to him, it's just another fucking play. It's him just saying, fuck you, Beaver Creek, because it doesn't matter. If you were MSG, if you were somewhere big, then I wouldn't care as much. For the special, whatever, I'm just going to leave here. I'll blame the altitude, which is hilarious. Like, with drinking and all that. Guess who drinks and does edibles? Everyone who lives in that altitude. I know you're new to it, but they can still speak. They had enough wherewithal to boo you. And you know they're drunk on edibles because they went to a fucking Nick Swartzen show. It's not
They're
a
your
funny
fans.
thing. Yes,
Yeah.
they're super fans of Nick fucking. No offense to Nick Swartzen, but it's the only guy left in entertainment who hasn't come out of the closet when he's gay. Just come out, and then you'd be more famous. And you could say, "Oh, if I was Nick, I would go. That's my bad. I actually was trying to let people know I'm really a woman." And then all of a sudden, everybody would support him. He'd be fine. He should say that every time. Change his gender back and forth every time he's fucked up on stage, and then people would support him.
That would be a real gender bender as a hill to last night's show.
You
But,
love that phrase.
I don't think Nick's actually gay. I think he just has a gay robot.
What?
The one Nick Swartzen fan in the chat got that reference. He had a sketch show for a while. Like, he was pretty big. And I get what you're saying. I just think maybe.
Oh, no, he was. But that's also like when Jamie Kennedy still tours and he's mean to people. Jamie Kennedy's not big now.
No,
Yeah, we all
absolutely.
were big. You know what I mean?
But I think the key is, and again, you gotta, I guess you're right with the enabling thing, but if you found the right way to enable him and be like, hey, if we bring, 3 feature acts, you can get as fucked up as you want, and you're something, you know what I mean? Just find a way to make it work. But I guess that's me thinking, like,
Or
with
maybe
brain
it was
that
just
hasn't
because-
made it yet.
Or maybe it was just because he was in Beaver Creek, Colorado, and what else is there but Becky the fucking Buffalo waiting to be pregnant? I don't know.
That's a
Becky
great
the
point.
that's breaking news. Becky the Buffalo's having babies, and there's no other Buffaloes around her because only other Buffaloes are the ones who play for the University of Colorado. It was Cordell
There you
Stewart
go.
that got her pregnant. There you go. That's my only Colorado Buffaloes reference. Cordell Stewart from a long time ago. But I don't know, Bobby. Were you ever so fucked up that somebody had to talk to you about not performing though?
No, I
Pops,
got
you ever
that.
had that happen where you're like so
switch.
drunk or something that someone's like, "Hey, get off stage or don't perform tonight"?
I don't know. I don't drink anymore because
Right.
it's like I was a blackout drunk. I'm allergic. I don't break out. I break into shit. But
Boom, boom.
I smoke weed, so I get what I call SAD, stoner's attention deficit disorder, where I forget shit. And
What if someone ever
yeah.
said to you, "Hey, you're so off that you shouldn't perform tonight," or no?
No, nobody's ever asked me. I've just forgotten my shit, but nobody's ever said, "Man, you're too fucked up. Like you can't perform." So no, that never. Just
Bobby, I think
forget
I've
my
shared
shit.
this
That's
before.
all.
I think I've shared it before, but I did when I early on, about 2 or 3 years in the comedy, I did go on stage very, very high, and I had never gone on stage high before, and I wasn't really racist, but I was focused on one race. For some reason, all my jokes were about what the heck is a Korean. That's crazy. And I just kept talking about that. I wasn't bashing them, and no one that was there was Korean. But I've had people say to me, I've had I don't think we've had him on the show, but Ryan, you know Ryan Brouth, Bobby, you know Ryan Brouth, and Ryan has said to me ever since, whenever he wants to get high with me, he goes, "You want to get racist?" Because he knows that story where I went up there and I'm like, Koreans, that doesn't even make sense. Be Chinese or Japanese, make up your mind. And I'm wondering why the audience is like dying at my weirdly acute Korean observations. And I got on stage like, all right, I'm never going to be high on stage again. I don't know what that was from. It was just the weirdest fucking thing ever. So I would wish somebody walked up and said, "Hey, Pat, why don't you leave the stage? This is crazy." And I'm like, bye. I would have loved that moment because, like, not that anyone remembered it, but it was the dumbest fucking thing ever. But at least learned my lesson. I don't believe Nick Swartz is going to learn a lesson. I think Nick goes, "Hey, I got drunk." I hate to say this. When you're a guy, like you said, Bobby, who at one point had a huge fame, he did. And he's still known. People, if you don't know, he doesn't pass the grandma test in the name sense. If you show a picture of him, they'll probably know something of him from something because he's been in so many things. A lot of grandmas watch Reno 911. It sounds weird, but it's on TV all the time, and they've seen it. They think it's a real cop show. They don't fucking understand it's fake. Like, that's an officer. But Nick, now to get fame back, what helps? Same thing with Andy Dick and everybody else. They get that addiction not only to alcohol and pills, but they also get the addiction to TMZ giving a fuck about him. So now Nick is like, "Oh, TMZ, good. It's the Bam Margera thing. Same thing. At least they're talking about me. Now I can get another gig." Now, crazier venues are going to book him. Ones that are like, "Come get fucked up with Nick Swartz. Let's see if you can get high as he did at that altitude." And then people are like, "Oh, this isn't the show you want." But then Nick's like, "Well, I can perform fucked up if everyone else is there fucked up. So why don't I do a little fucking rock theater instead of doing the regular place that we do?" And then they push it that way, and he tries to get more stories in. I'm not saying he's going to go that route, but it is a route to go when you want people to care about you. Now, you're not going to get booked in regular venues, but you will get on podcasts, you will get talked about, and then you can really, if you really want to do it, turn a redemption arc, and then talk about how you're trying to get clean and sober, have a documentary made on you, following you around, trying to be clean. You know, it's like, in the nick of time, they call it, as Nick is trying to fucking, like, literally is, Nick, I'm low again, instead of Nickelodeon. There's a lot of names you could do for the fucking show. So you could do that and turn it around. So I don't think Nick's going to learn from this. I think he's just going to try to capitalize on it.
I think you just nailed his career path, dude. In the nick of
See
time.
if he's looking for a new agent.
No thanks. I'm not going up there every time going, "He's fucked up again." It's like, "Is he?" I'm like, "No, I gave him regular gummy bears. He's a retarded person. It's not even edibles. I tricked him."
I'm in. Nick, I'll carry you, buddy. You just let me know. Whatever you need. I'll be the guy.
Bobby,
I've had
again. You're too. You say that now, but you would try to be helpful and go, "Hey man, not tonight." And you go, "Don't tell me how to live, Bobby Jimbo. I made you." And you're like, "Well, Sandler made you." It's like, all right, that's fair.
And then you'll be like, "All right, I'll give you a CBD THC gummy so it's not as bad."
Oh, you got to
That's
do
a
the
good
dance?
call.
If you do the dance, that works good. Yeah, I like the
Come on,
dance.
focus, Nick. Focus.
Focus as I do this. Imagine being drunk and high and some guy's doing this. There's no focusing.
Oh, the mic I was at last night, the host, he had unknowingly taken 100 milligrams of an edible. So he was really big. So when I got on stage, I was talking like this.
Oh, tell Colton I said hi.
Con
Anyway,
meth.
it's like, by the way, how do you unknowingly take it? Yeah, because I don't even know if it was him, but I was on a show with that guy once where the set wasn't going well, so he just decided to tell the audience that he was on acid. I don't think so. Anyway, it's like, I just don't think the set was going well. Whatever.
Well, because he thought they were
Regardless-
5 milligrams. There were 2 of them. He thought they were 5, but they were 50s. So,
Yeah, but that's retarded.
anyway.
But
Yeah.
then telling people that is crazy. Like, to me, if I took 100 milligrams of an edible, I wouldn't have the wherewithal to tell you the math problem I had. It almost feels like when you do that and you tell people in the moment, you're lying.
No, I was there with 4 other people, and a couple of them were comics that that the ones who gave them the edibles, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we didn't tell you in time that they were 50s." So he just popped them in.
I like the guy who has to pop 2 edibles before he hosts an open mic. I got to be in a different mind frame so I can say names.
If you were at that mic, you would have been too.
I guess so. That's why I was happy I wasn't at that mic. But, Bobby, you got something?
Sure. This one kind of combines the world of pop culture and, I guess, sports. Are you familiar
With pop culture
with
and
Josh
sports?
Giddey?
Yes.
With Josh
No,
Giddey?
The way you paused,
Sorry.
I was like, yeah, I know those words. Pop culture and sports. Pop culture should be your show, Pops. How do you not have a show
Yeah.
called Pop Culture?
'Cause
I don't
it's
know.
58.
I gotta think of that.
Bobby.
Here you go. There you go. Thanks, Pat.
No problem. Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
So no, are you familiar with Josh Giddey?
No. I mean,
Okay,
I
so-
know that he's a basketball player, but I don't know any story about
So
it.
he's a basketball player for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma City Thunder plans to open a teen club, Giddey's Hangout, despite recently overcoming misconduct allegations. The club aims to provide a safe space for teenagers to socialize and engage in activities. Giddey's resilience in the face of the controversy is evident as he remains committed to uplifting the community. While some commend his determination, others question the timing of the club's launch. Giddey's team emphasizes his innocence and dedication to making a positive impact in the community. As Giddey's Hangout prepares to open, all eyes are on Josh Giddey and the Oklahoma City Thunder, eager to see how they navigate the challenges and continue to serve the community. Despite adversity, Giddey's unwavering commitment to moving forward inspires many, showcasing resilience and perseverance in the face of scrutiny. Who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it Oklahoma City for having a basketball team? Is it
Yeah.
Josh Giddey for opening a teen club despite just beating allegations of statutory rape? Is it calling the club Giddey's Hangout, whoever allowed the manager to do that? Or is it anybody who thinks this is a bad thing? My man got tricked by a fake ID, so he's opening up a club specifically for teens so they can stay out of the clubs he's at. Pat, we'll kick it to you
Yeah.
first.
Well, first of all, we're not going to shut Oklahoma City. They have a very good chance of at least making the Western Conference Finals this year. That's quite a team, and Giddey's very important to them. It's the allegations were a lot of different things, and a lot of them were dropped and stuff of that nature. So before we get into that, I mean, the even fact that we're pretending this is a real story is insane. But we'll do that whenever we've now learned when Bobby reads off AI and makes a thing up about Giddey's Hangout, whatever. It's AI isn't as funny as us, so when Giddey's Hangout comes out, you're kind of like, all right, it could have been a funnier name, but whatever. And when you
Yeah.
first said that, my mind went to Gibby. Gibby was the guy from iCarly, the little fat guy who was going, well, I'm Gibby, because my kids would watch that, and I'm like, oh, Gibby's Hangout would be way more fun. That little fat boy that was like, I like you, iCarly. He's like, fuck you, you're fat. He's like, Gibby. That guy, it's fucking great. Giddey's Hangout, if this was a real story, and we're going to pretend like it is, and by the way, I win. It's
Yeah,
over.
you won this
But-
round.
That one, I'm not going to tell you how to do the fake story, but when you do them best, Bobby, you allow conversation in between the reading. When you're focused on selling it, you don't go, hey, Pat, and you do a couple more back and forth and then add more info. That's your best lie because you start to get me so onto it. You're like, did you know this? Did you know he slept with underage? I'm like, no, shit, underage girl. I didn't know that. Oh my God, did you know this? Giddey's Hangout. Why would that be crazy? Oh, that's like this and this. Oh, and then I'm like, oh, I'm on board. But anyway, the piece of shit isn't you. I like that you're trying. It's going to be hard to do this every day. And sometimes you want to lull people to sleep so they go, oh, it's easy to tell. Now Bobby will read that way every story he does to trick people now that I said that. I know Bobby's mind. It'll be fantastic. He'll be trying to pretend one story is fake when the other one's real. So I'm on board for all of this. You actually are more in depth and have better gameplay than the Oklahoma City Thunder. They barely pass the ball. That's the problem. Giddey only gets it when other dudes aren't driving in. That being said, it's not the teens for sleeping with Giddey. He's famous. It's Oklahoma City. He's got sweet hair. If you ever looked at him, he's a white man, by the way, and he's killing it in the NBA. You got to give him that. It's not him for doing whatever. If he was really trying to do this, trying to help kids out, it's anyone who would go to Giddey's Hangout. Like this is Giddey's not going to be there. Like so, it's like you're just going to a place and the guy's name is on it is fucking weird. Like if he was gonna be there and hang out with you, play skee ball and stuff, and say, "Hey, just so you know, the whole time I'm not trying to fuck you," then that would be cool. You know, he's like, "Hey, yeah, I mean that top looks nice on you, and I didn't barely notice your 17-year-old cleavage, but we were playing defense. I'd play defense like now, far back, and be respectful. Not like in the day in the '90s with the Pistons. I wouldn't be all up on you like Lambeer grabbing them titties. I wouldn't do that at all." So yeah, it's anyone that would ever go to a hangout with a white NBA player in Oklahoma City and not think they're gonna get molested during skee ball.
Well, I think you nailed that. Both Gibby's Hangout and what was the other one? Giddey's Hangout. I forgot the real one. You would definitely get molested. Gibby,
Yes.
that poor boy, that poor piggy-looking boy was spit roasted by so many producers at Nickelodeon for that role, and I feel terrible.
He was Dan Schneider's favorite plaything.
Yeah, Dan Schneider was a monster, as Jim pointed out. But yeah, no, so
foot
it's not.
fetish, dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
he made the pool a foot,
Yeah,
and nobody saw that as a problem.
Yeah, that was their logo. Yeah,
And do you think like the generation that got warped by that, all the foot imagery in those shows, could we file a class action lawsuit? Just be like, this dude fucked all of us. That generation, my entire generation that was exposed to that, I'd be like, yo, this dude fucked us up. And then would you have to prove you had a foot fetish in court? They just show you pictures of feet and measure your erection.
But then can you do the same thing with Quentin Tarantino? Then you're going down a weird rabbit hole.
Oh, I like this. Maybe we could take down all of Hollywood. It's almost like it's all full of monsters. Anyway, Pops, who do you
By the way,
think
then Robert Zemeckis would be a hero because he made Forrest Gump and Lieutenant Dan had no legs nor feet, so therefore he's safe.
He was trying to warn us all along.
I'd rather have AIDS than feet. That was the whole synopsis of Forrest Gump.
And even his legs were fucked up. Forrest Gump's legs were fucked up. That whole movie was full of fucked up feet.
Until he got sweet braces.
Good point.
Yeah.
And then he outran him. Pops, who's your piece of shit?
First of all, I got to say, you read that like I thought I was listening to NPR for a minute there, the way you were reading that off, Bobby. That's so sweet. My morning cup of coffee, listen to NPR. Yeah. Biggest piece of shit in that. I honestly, I kind of got to agree if this was real. I got to agree with Pat. Well, first of all, Oklahoma City, it's fuck the basketball team. I really don't watch basketball anymore. Again, I'm going to age myself. I haven't watched basketball since the ugliest team in the NBA which was Robert Parrish, McHale, Bird, Dennis Cornbread Johnson.
Dennis Johnson. Yeah, you got freckles.
That's what I said.
Don't you forget him.
Yeah. Exactly. More freckles than an Irishman on a black man. Amazed. But then Danny Ainge fucked up that ugly algorithm.
Come on, baby.
Yeah. And then but you have Danny Ainge who fucked up that ugly, algorithm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I don't really watch basketball, but Oklahoma City, really? Why would anybody want to live there, first of all? That's my opinion. Good point. I would say exactly like Pat said, anybody who would go to that little hangout, that would be crazy. That would be just like if Adrian Peterson had a fucking daycare, right? And you sent your kids there. What would it be? Open arms, back hands?
Ray Rice had a security service for your girlfriend. Yeah, I get
where
we're going here.
Yeah, Ray Lewis. That's it. Yeah, no, it's that was a good one. But anybody who went there, was going to get a little Biden, a little rub and a sniff. Yeah,
yeah. I see. Good point. And I'm not going to point out the fact that you only rooted for the white Celtics team that won a championship and not the all black team.
But it was half black, half white.
Kidding. Yeah.
When's the best 3-point shooter left? I quit. Once Bird left, I quit.
Absolutely.
He's definitely
Bird's
not
one
that
of my
now.
favorites too. But for me, the piece of shit's not anyone who would go to this fake club. It's not Josh Giddey for beating the CIA trap that they tried to get him in, where they sent a girl to try to take him down. Or it's not Josh Giddey for completing the frat boy look we all thought he had, right? He came into the NBA looking like a lax player, caught a charge. That's what they do. And beat it like a lax bro. For me, the piece of shit in this story is StreamYard, because it doesn't label which day the meeting is. So when I tried to log in today, before I wrote this fake story, I had to sift through 92 StreamYard emails that all, for some reason, were from different dates. It didn't make any sense, and I didn't have time to punch up my story.
Well, then guess what? I've got a new piece of shit in the story.
It's me.
Bobby, that has been the issue for a while. But because I knew it had been, if you go back and look at that, I wrote in the fucking body of it and in the thing, Wednesday's show, to make sure you would know it was Wednesday's show, because in the past you've done that. It says Wednesday's show at the top, and in there says, here, Bobby's the link for Wednesday. I wrote it in there myself. Usually I just send it, but I was like, oh, it's Bobby's having problems because I sent a couple of links in a row for the week, so you've been not finding them. So I literally, wrote Wednesday, knowing StreamYard wasn't doing it. I had your back, and you just said to me a minute before the show, if you want me on this show, resend the link. And I know you didn't say it in that voice, but I'm putting that voice. I know you said it like, hey, buddy, if you want to help me out, I can really use the link. I know you were being loving. I'm making it mean because you brought up StreamYard, and I feel like it's a personal attack to me because I did write Wednesday on there. And real quick, the real piece of shit in the story is that no one is talking about that Oklahoma City, if they win tomorrow against Portland, are in a 3-way tie for first place in the Western Conference with Minnesota and Denver. So Giddey's, whatever he's doing, if he's banging kids and I'm about to go in first place in the Western Conference, bang those kids. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I also have a new piece of shit, which is me, because I thought today was Friday. So the number of times I clicked on the Wednesday email and went, nope, that was the one we already did. This one's on me, fellas.
I was like, yeah, we already did that. I just can't find
That's
that
it.
Sweet Friday one.
Yep. No,
That's
literally, that's
it.
what I was looking for. It was fucking. I
You're
kept
getting
going.
dementia already. There you go.
But it would lead to our theory about, they had good linebackers at Penn State. Michigan State's gymnastics team was really good. Now, for some reason, a Durantless OKC is in first place. But the reason nobody's talking about it is because you listed 3 cities nobody gives a fuck about: Milwaukee,
Yeah.
Denver, and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Milwaukee's. I'm not getting into sports talk, but Milwaukee, if they don't win, they got to blow that whole fucking thing up. That's insane. You put that team together and you don't do anything. That's nuts. Especially the Celtics are going to come out of the East, and it shouldn't be. It should be definitely Milwaukee running over everybody. But anyway,
Go ahead, buddy.
Bobby, real quick, before we get to our next story, I'm going to let everyone do some plugs quickly while we get ready. I'm watching. Pops, let people know where they can follow you. Let people know where they can come see you next, all that stuff.
You can follow me on all social medias, Pops Therien, POPPSTHERRIEN, or EMTcomedy.com. I got a show March 28th, not an April Fool's comedy show, Lena's Place in Belchertown. I'll be hosting a show at the Wheel Lock in Millbury, Mass, April 13th. And just keep looking. I produce shows and hopefully get on more shows.
Yeah, if you're in Western Mass or Hartford area, I know Pops also put on some shows at Elbow Room and West Hartford, things like that. Pops puts on great shows, brings in all kinds of comics. Go check him out. He's a lot of fun. Make sure you go see that stuff. One of the first times I ever did comedy, it was an open mic in Belchertown at their VFW. And if you don't know Belchertown, Massachusetts, good for you. You shouldn't know Belchertown. The name tells you.
No.
It sounds like it's fake. Belchertown sounds like something that would be like from a Rick and Morty sketch or something like that. It doesn't at all. But I went there. It was supposed to be an open mic on a Friday night, which people know in comedy, you're not supposed to do open mics on Fridays. That's for paid stuff. But back then, no one knew. Myself and a comic named Kim DeShields, who went by the name of Boney, her and I showed up. No one else did. But there was 10 white people that were super trash from the VFW who were like, we want a show. So Kim looked at me and said, how much time can you do? I go, I've done comedy 4 times. She goes, all right, so a half hour? Because I'll do the rest because I'm about to get money out of these people. And she turns and she goes, well, if you throw us a couple $100, we'll give you a show right now instead of this open mic. And they got money together. We each got 50 each, which wasn't a lot, but I got to do a half hour cold for white trash and I had no idea what I was talking about. And then she went up afterwards. So I have fond memories of Belchertown.
I like the spot. It's Lena's Place. It's in a golf course. It's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah,
that
there's
part
nice
of
areas up there.
Belchertown is.
So. Yeah. Bobby, what do you got?
I will be at Dead Crow Comedy this weekend in North Carolina. Following weekend, I'm with Earl David Reed. That week, though, I'll be up in Toronto doing guest spots at the Yuck Yucks. So come check me out. But March 15th, 2 of my best friends are working together on a show. That's Pat Oates and Avery Quinn at the Riverwalk Social in Derby. So make sure you check that out.
Oh, yeah, he is on that show. I was like, what the fuck? Is he on that show? Yeah. He hit me up and was like, I got no dates in fucking March. Can you give me something? I'm like, all right, you can be on this show. So it's like,
But
I forgot, like,
I
wait,
did-
wait,
Avery's good.
Avery?
I like Avery. He's funny. He's good.
Great guy.
He's a
You
kid.
and I both love him. Bobby has a hatred for the most wonderful love man ever.
I
And because
love-
Bobby's known him since back in the... Avery is the weird connection here. Avery started comedy in the area Bobby came up in Pennsylvania and then moved here. So when we have our shows, a lot of the guests we have on are
continue
either
starting
Connecticut
comedy.
guys that Avery knows from here or comedians from
Yeah.
Pennsylvania that Avery knew from there.
So I like to bust Avery's balls, obviously, but I did want to plug that because he is a very funny comedian. As much as I give him a hard time, he's hilarious. Make sure you check him out. He's got tons of clips
Yeah,
up if you don't believe me.
Oh,
Yeah, so next
he's
Friday
good.
I'm in Derby at Riverwalk Social with Kevin Dolan and a bunch of other comics, one being Avery Quinn. But this week, if you want to come see me twice, you want to have an all-day Saturday party with Pat Oates, you can come see, if you're in Milford, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, myself and Mike Lapatino will be on the WPLR float with a band there and everything. Going there, this parade starts at 1. The Milford Parade's the one you're allowed to drink at. When people are like, Connecticut, where can I get hammered? New Haven doesn't allow it anymore on the streets. Milford says, fuck you, we do it on the streets, and they got bars surrounding everything, the green afterwards. So come party with us and hang out. And if you're still awake that whole time, follow me over to Seymour to Jimmy's place, and I'll be there on a show being produced by the steamroller of comedy, Rich Carucci. I'll be on that show at 8 o'clock. He won't be there, unfortunately. He's sending some Jersey goons or whatever to come open the show. And I've got a 15-year-old kid on the show, the very hilarious Elliot Lonergan. He's going to be there on the show as well in a dive bar. So if you want to do all day and all night with us, come hang out. Bobby, go ahead.
I see a problem. Typically, Rich's friends aren't allowed in the same room as 15-year-old boys. How are you going to avoid
Rich
that
is aware.
situation?
Rich is aware because I
Okay.
think that's why Rich isn't coming.
So no Rich, no John Hollywood, no filter Paul.
By the way, guess who's opening for me?
Who?
John Hollywood and No Filter Paul. And a 15-year-old boy. When you said those names, like shit, that's the names on the flyer.
Let's chat after the show. I got some
Nice.
news about one
Listen,
of those dudes. You
as long as
want
I'm getting the money, anyone can be. They can turn into a Giddy's hideaway all they want, whatever they need to do. As long as I get my money, I'm very happy. Please, right now, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We do Monday morning shows. We do morning shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. We do our Tuesday show where we get a little crazier at the evening at 8 p.m. So, people that are watching this on YouTube could have watched this yesterday if we had the show yesterday. People that are watching it on Instagram might have had a problem. Because I don't know if anyone noticed here, in a lot of areas in the country, there was an outage of Facebook and Instagram for a couple hours. And people lost their minds. Mostly old people, but people lost their minds because they could not get on Facebook. Because when you went to log on, it logged you off and said log back in and wouldn't let you log in. People started freaking out two ways. Some people thought they were hacked. But most people blamed it on the Russians or the Chinese. Everyone said this is the way they're attacking us. Actually, not only was it just some people saying that, the government had to get involved and say something. The White House National Security Council was monitoring the incident and not aware of any specific malicious cyber activity at this time, a spokesperson said. Which means a spokesperson had to get up and go, don't worry, they're not attacking us through our boomers on fucking Facebook. Yeah, they're going to get you because you're putting a hang in there cat thing and they're going to stop you. We're going to stop America from thriving by not letting you go look at pictures on Instagram of a girl you shouldn't be looking at anyway. It's ridiculous that every time something happens now, I wish this happened when I was a kid. When our TV didn't work, my dad would say, unplug it, plug it back in. He never said, holy shit, it's a conspiracy from the Chinese that are shutting us down so I can't watch golf. Every time anything happens on social media, we just blame. We think we're too important. And I'm not trying to be anti-American, but every time anything happens, if there's a story like Betty White died, they're like, they've killed her so they can cover up COVID stories. It's like, she was in 1,000. She's gonna die. Not everything that's out there is a way to cover up. We want conspiracy so bad. The conspiracy is that they've tricked you to think that everything's a conspiracy. There's your conspiracy. That we're living a world that we think everything is wrong. A giant thing that lets you talk to every person in the fucking world. You, a person from Beaver Creek, Colorado, and a man named in Africa can all talk together on a Facebook chat debating if Sydney Sweeney's as hot as Megan Fox was when she was back in her day. And they're all putting flame emojis and putting it there. They're not worried about shutting us down. It's not an issue. Shit happens. It broke down. Yes, we're just so used to being on here and doing all the things we want to do, but it just fucking breaks down. So who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it all the people that fucking freaked out for hours? I mean, I work for a radio station part-time, so I get the emails from all the full-time people as well. They had to send out an email for everyone that was worried about what's going on to let you know it was an outage. And people are like, thank God for letting me know. I couldn't go online and make an Instagram story for the 12 people that give a fuck about me to say, hey, tune in to me at 2 o'clock and shit. I don't know what I was going to do. I don't know. Just do your job like you always did for the 400 years before social media, you fucking dinosaurs. Because that's who's in radio with me anyway. No offense to any of the dinosaurs. Please give me a job. Anyway, or is it Facebook and Instagram for shutting down and not having a better thing like a hang in there kitty or like technical issues, please stand by, not just having a thing that pops up that makes you log out. The second they figure that out, they can read our thoughts. They know our ads before we know our ads. They can tell us what kind of celebrity we are if we were black from 1930. Why can't they just quickly come up with a thing when they're shut down saying be back in 15 minutes, gone fishing, something silly, so therefore nobody freaks out? Is it China and Russia for always being so shady that we blame them for shit? You know what I mean? If you don't act like a piece of shit, no one thinks you're a piece of shit. We always blame, if something bad happens in your life in high school, and there was this one guy who was always a dick to you, and then one bad thing happens, you just blame that guy. Even though he was out that day, didn't do anything. When someone's acting a fool, you treat them like a fool. So maybe they shouldn't be all shady. Is it anyone who gave a fuck about this shutting down? Go outside. And even if it was raining, who cares? And I don't want to be that guy who says touch grass, but when your life is over because you can't fucking scroll through your fucking go to X, go to TikTok. There are other things for you, but how about just get off your fucking phone for a fucking minute? Who gives a shit if there was an outage? Do you know what else is outage? Homeless people. They're outage out there all the time. Do you care about them for 2 hours? No. You never go, oh my God, the world sucks. Someone's sleeping in a tent outside getting raped by raccoons. Nope. But if you can't get on Instagram and share your show on Tuesday at Joey's Buttfuck Hut in fucking Colorado, then you're upset. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Bobby, go first.
I like that the U.S. had to come out and be like, hey, you know that thing they do to psyop us? When it shutting down wasn't them continuing to psyop us. They didn't, you know what I mean? Like, literally, those two countries that people thought it was have used these platforms to spread so much chaos. Like you said, we don't even know what a conspiracy theory is. My point is the fact that it shut down and people freaked out is a terrible sign.
Yes.
Like, it is not good. Both of those apps, not as much Facebook, but Instagram literally is just designed to destroy your attention span, kill your dopamine receptors. Like, we've got apps on phones now dedicated to not letting you use that stuff so it doesn't suck your dopamine. People are worried about AI taking over. There it fucking is. That's your conspiracy. The fact that we're all so addicted to this stuff that people freaked out. I didn't notice it was down until the last 3 minutes because I just don't care. My life has been so much better since I stopped paying attention to social media. And like you said, go out and go for a walk. Go walk around the mall. Talk
Yeah,
to people.
I logged on for a second just to do my I'm going to the bathroom scroll thing. It logged me out. I was like, oh, okay, maybe for some reason it timed out, whatever. I tried to log back in. So then what I did next, I did Google and I said, is there an issue with Facebook? And then found out right away there was. At first I just thought it was me. Like, it could have been a hacker. I never thought it was cyber hacking from like the Russians. It just thought like, there's bots that do that kind of thing, but didn't care. And like you're saying, Bobby, it is wild that people are like, what the fuck? How many people do we know that say all the time, man, if shit goes down and thing goes off the grid, I'm going to fucking thrive. All those people were crying like motherfuckers that they couldn't get on Facebook and Instagram for a couple minutes so they could use the free dating app on fucking Facebook instead of having to pay for fucking Tinder for a little while so they could scroll pictures of bitches that their friends know. You know what I mean? That's what they were mad about. They couldn't go on there and jerk off to some girl's picture or be like, I'm getting all these friend requests from a woman who lives in France who says she loves my comedy, but all the mutual friends we have are another with hot women bots or an Indian guy. Yeah, get off the fucking... Nobody would survive. I would die 4 minutes in to being on the grid with no social media and having no power. Not because I can't survive, it's because I would talk, they'd go, oh, you're mean, and it'd be over. I understand that. I have to build an entertaining thing right away. I am not going to be helpful. I can lift some shit, but I can't fucking kill a thing. I can't do nothing. Everyone who thinks they can survive off the grid is lying, and we learned that yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. And like, just think about the time you waste. I thought about it yesterday because like it kind of, everybody was talking about there was the outage, and then there was everybody discussing the outage after the outage.
Yes.
And my whole thing was like the amount of time I spent on Instagram, like so many more productive things could be done. Like I could go make friends with the Indian family that runs the gas station on the corner. I could get the patriarch of the family to have sex with a minor on camera, blackmail him. Now I own the gas station. Boom, turn a profit. Now I own a bunch of gas stations. All of a sudden, I'm a Saudi prince. You know, lots of productive things.
By the way, outage should be the new way we say coming out of the closet. That should be it. We should take that word back over. And it's just like, we had an outage last night. And some guy's like, hey, and he just got like a dick in his mouth. Like that, there you go. I mean, they blur out the dick because it's Asian, but whatever. Bob's, who's the piece of shit in this story?
Just got that.
Oh, jeez. Yo, first of all, fucking Facebook and Instagram, I hate them. I hate them. I really do. Because they do. They make you feel like shit about yourself. They have nothing to do but make you feel like shit about yourself. That's what they're made for. I don't think it's the people. I don't think it's the government. You know, the government's fucked up as it is. So we already know that shit. I had that short-term disability. I just forgot what the fuck I was going to say while I was sitting here.
It's pretty long term, Pops. it's like
it's definitely long term. It's long term. But no, actually, the biggest piece of shit in this is actually, like you said, the people that were freaking out over this shit. Like, it was during work hours. Like, most of the people that were freaking out were working. Like, I didn't even know it was done until at the end of the day. And all these people have these, oh my God, I logged out and we got hacked. Who gives a fuck? Like, you should have been working. Why are you on fucking Facebook and Instagram? Unless you said you're doing your poster that you made from Canva from the fucking template and just take people's pictures and fucking put it out for your show that nobody's gonna fucking show up to. Not yours, Pat, because everybody comes to your shows because you're amazing.
No, they do.
You know what I'm saying?
I wish they did. They don't even
trying to
come
be on one of your shows. Well, if Avery don't want to come in, I'll be there.
There you go.
But
we'll just
there you go.
Quinn, like, you ain't shit, bro. It's like,
You ain't
no.
shit. Yeah, but
I
can't wrestle.
No, there was a lot of people working at the time when that was happening. But think about how many people's jobs it is now to be a social media like coordinator or like it's the dumbest thing we've ever done. Right away,
like
we went to a thing real quick. We went to a thing that became it's the easiest thing to do. To literally go on your phone, hit a button, and you can talk to the world. We went from that being wow, how easy is this that we can communicate with everyone to I don't got time for this shit. Could someone else do it for me? Oh, my fucking finger hurts from being on my phone. I've got other important things. Like what? You don't do anything else. Most jobs are running through that stuff anyway. It is the fact that everyone noticed it. I don't even think everyone noticed it. I think it's like 2 or 3 people noticed it, posted it on something else, and then everyone else who was supposed to be doing their job and was staring at X saw it and went, oh God, outrage, and then they went on their thing to be part of it. That's what it became. It's like when there's a tragedy, like when you see on Facebook and they're like, someone's like, I marked safe from a hurricane in fucking Tuscaloosa. And you're like, who the fuck cares? Get off your phone. Stop marking yourself safe. Mark yourself dead, because that's who you are to me. Goodbye. The second you're like, because the people that aren't safe aren't pumped. Their families, like, you're like, I made it through this stupid twister. Who gives a shit? And then other people go, oh my God, I kind of live 400 miles from there. I better post I was safe too, so I get attention from a problem. That's what this all became. Who else was, like when you're old, like you and me, Pops, people say, remember in 1983, the winter storm of 83? It was crazy. We had to walk up the snow 80 ways. We had to fuck each other. We couldn't eat. It lasted only 2 hours, but it was crazy. That shit is now when they're like, do you remember the power outage of 2024? For 2 hours, we could we were lights out. You couldn't eat. Like, no, we couldn't share pictures of titties for 2 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Marked myself safe from Giddy's hangout.
Safe from Giddy's hangout. I wasn't safe from Giddy's hangout. I was there.
You were safe. You're safe probably about 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, how old are you? You're too old for fucking. Yeah, so you're definitely at least 13 years safe from fucking his house.
I like the phrase "you're too old for fucking."
You're too old.
That's a new bumper sticker we're going to be selling after the podcast.
You're too old for fucking.
People are like, "What does this mean?" Like, just leave it. But we don't put our podcast underneath. We put other podcasts like Steel Toe in the morning. Boom, 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 boom. Fuck you, bitch. Anyway, it's like, I don't get why people cared. Did I care enough? I mean, yes, I'm saying that, but then we're using it as a conversation piece, so therefore I'm talking about it too, and I'm doing the same thing. But we're trying to do a show that talks about things people care about. And if you notice all our stories, no one should have cared about, besides Charles Barkley, because that gets into political, and I think people should care about that a little bit. Everything else, no one should give a fuck about any of this. But it is wild that people gave a shit. It's like, and what's funny, a lot of the people that said they gave a shit are the people who are usually vocal on Facebook and Instagram going, fuck this platform, fuck them, they don't let me do it. And now the second it's gone, first of all, it's funny, they're on the platform saying fuck the platform. It's like eating at McDonald's every day going, this food stinks. Like, well, why are you eating there every day? Oh, it's convenient and because, whatever, fuck you. It's like, just stop complaining. If everybody stopped complaining about everything, that's my job. I was good at complaining. And then everyone tried to be a Pat Oates cover band, and fuck you. Let me do my thing. And I like Facebook. I streamlined my Facebook to make it comfortable for me. I used to have 5,000 friends. I was like every other comic. I friended every comic in the world. I wanted to have 5,000 fucking friends. And then I'm like, oh, everyone sucks on this. So one day I sat there and I started cutting people. I got down to 2,200 people, and then I let people follow me. So I got a ton of followers, but then I took my news feed and I unfollowed anyone who says toxic shit or boring shit or just dumb shit. And now my news feed in the morning is a thing of family, friends, and comics I like or people that I find interesting. It's almost like going through the paper. So I don't mind Facebook now. My Instagram is just people I like knowing about. Wrestling and comedians and a couple other dumb little things that I like watching or my friends' little stories. And it's just something I like. I'm not on there to get attention. I'm actually on there to get away from the attention seekers for the most part. And then I can whore out my shit to them. And that's what I use it for the most point, is as a promotional tool, because that's what it should be anyway. Now, all I knew is for 2 hours yesterday, I couldn't use that promotional tool. So what did I do? I went off and did something else. I had other things to do as well, because it only takes 2 minutes to share shit. And I was okay. I didn't go online and go, oh my God, oh the humanity, we're all going to die. This is 9/11 too, Electric Boogaloo. I didn't get all fucking mad about it and shit. At least this is 9/11, because this one's real. Anyway, so that's not, I didn't freak out, and I don't understand why people gave a fuck so much.
Well, and the way it is, I'm surprised that they remembered it after like 90 seconds, because the way all these platforms and these reels and the TikToks and all that stuff, they're 90 seconds they're 90 seconds, 3 minutes, and then everybody forgets because everybody's got such a short attention span. So I'm surprised that nobody fucking forgot about it.
Well, you want your conspiracy? Possible. Here you go. Thanks for leading me that fish to water. The reason why that happens, buddy, is because Facebook, more importantly than Instagram, but Facebook lost 2 hours of algorithm feeding. They didn't get all that shit going on. So what do? They make sure when they push ahead all the posts about where the fuck was everybody, what's going on, they make sure you see that, so then you comment on that so they can make up 2 hours. It's like when a factory shuts down for 2 hours because some guy lost his hand. They don't shut down for the day. They cover up the hand. They change the number to 0 days since the last incident, and then they keep pumping out shit, and they make you work the weekends. And that's all Facebook was doing, was making sure that you didn't forget, because they kept 9/11ing the shit out of it. Once again, a reference saying never forget this, and they threw it right to the top. So every time you look at your news feed, somebody you don't really know, and you're like, am I friends with this person? They were sharing something about someone saying, oh my God, the outage, where the fuck was Facebook? That was crazy. So you'd keep talking about it. It was a way to fuel their fire again.
And then I think they made it too, because I don't know if you noticed it, but you were getting posts from 3, 4, 5 days ago when everybody was talking about that again too.
Yeah, because they know how to get that back. Because once you read about the algorithm works, once you're reading about something, it goes, oh, you like this story, then you're gonna like this. So it starts going back to other, even if it's not a story about that, it's going back to a person who was involved in a thing like that. So now you're getting their shit. So they're trying to curate to you, but they curate to you through manic episodes, not through like things you like. That's why if you clear out your newsfeed and don't let those people in there, I didn't see it as much, but I know a lot of other people saw it crazy. Bobby, I'm sure yours, Bessie, I'm sure Twitter, I'm not on X, whatever it is, I'm sure people were talking mad shit about it because everybody was over there.
I don't use those tools. Like, I use
Tools.
other platforms to post on those things now. Like, I this is all news to me. Other than that, it was out for a few minutes. I didn't realize there was a ton of freak out and all that shit too.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah.
Bobby's too close
I don't use
to the
X, like-
room.
No, like literally, I think the reason why everybody was freaking out is we're all addicted. It's a dopamine hit. Every
yeah.
time you scroll through one of those reels, and like literally, I was at the point where I wasn't laughing at things in life. Like I wasn't finding the normal enjoyment. I was like, what's doing this? And I think it's genuinely that. I'm trying to get away as much as possible. Let's use AI to post stupid clips and move on.
Yeah, like I've said this before on here, but like I left now it's X, but Twitter years ago, and my sleep got better because there was so much anger on there anyway. And by the way, dopamine, Bobby, I didn't mean dopamine. I meant you're a dope. I mean, hey yo, anyway, here's my new T-shirt. Hey, yeah, we got to get throw a balloon pump in there once in a while. Bobby, you got any more fun stuff?
Yeah, so you kind of went modern, and here's my thing. The idea of like why something gets focused on in a generation. So for my growing up, the whole thing was don't talk to a stranger, don't get in a van, here's how you run and fight if somebody's trying to kidnap you. And like, sure, there were some kidnappings going on, but I didn't really realize like why that was there. And then I saw a couple of like documentaries and things from the 80s, and you guys could probably relate because you kind of grew up in that era a little more. But apparently the thing in the 80s was if you had a bad kid, some people would just kidnap them and either take them to a school or like a work camp or a prison. Like, was that just a regular form of discipline at the time?
Oh, did someone watch the program on Netflix recently?
What's the program?
It's actually a documentary about this school that they would do that. They would take the kids, bad kids, and try to correct them.
Which one is that, though? Because I've watched like a dozen. There's that
This
one.
one just came out. This isn't that camp one. This is actually like the picture. The main picture has like a steps with like discipline, respect, all that kind of shit. But it became like abusive, not like in a physical, but a very mental abusive thing.
Is that the girls' camp?
Yeah.
The
No,
girls'
that's a
school, I
different
mean?
one.
That's a different one?
one too. See, that's my point. At what point did people just go, yeah, it's cool to pretend kidnap our kids and then take them to like we're fighting Russia in the Cold War, but let's take our kids to fucking the gulag here.
Well, they used to send bad boys to military school.
What you gonna
Which
do?
was just, that's what they used to send them to get disciplined and become men, and didn't work. Not me. I
Really?
didn't go.
Nothing.
I
Come
got
on,
it.
nothing?
It took a second, but I got it.
What you
What are
gonna
they
do when
gonna
they
do?
come for you, the bad boys?
I'd go down swinging. Like, you would not get me into whatever van, whatever airplane. At one point, they took a private jet to the desert. Like, I'd crash that fucker. I'm
See, the
going
thing
down
is-
swinging.
See, the thing is, when we were younger in the 70s and 80s, vans were actually cool. They weren't kidnap vans. They weren't
Yeah,
pedo
that's-
vans. They were cool conversion vans. So maybe that's why the people, as they got older, used vans to get the kids, because we knew that vans were cool to kids. I don't know.
It's just nuts to me that the game plan was, all right, we're going to kidnap kids. And then we were surprised that Hollywood is full of pedophiles. Like, it was so normalized in our society. And how many of those kids got kidnapped thinking they were going to the program and ended up on Epstein's Island or R. Kelly's house? Like, we should not allow the kidnapping of kids. And I find it weird that I have to take this stance.
This
Who's
is
the
where you
piece of
offer the
shit in
piece
this
of
story?
shit.
Yeah, who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it the kids for letting, like, you're the bad kid? Yeah. Okay, all right. We should start
Is
with
it
the
kidnapping
real
the
one.
Kids were being
kidnap
kidnapped.
kids?
Yeah.
So, all right, is it the people kidnapping the kids? Is it the parents for sending their kids to camp? Or is it the kids, like, you're the bad kid. You're so bad you have to be kidnapped and taken to camp, but you just let these guys take you? There's not one story of a kid killing one of these kidnappers? Like, I'm not saying that I would win, but you're going to have to knock me out to take me to wherever you're taking me. And you're not going to break me. I'm going to be the dude from that Japanese internment movie where he was like running with the thing on his shoulders and they were whipping him and stuff. Anyway, who's the piece of shit? We'll kick it to you first, Pops. Because you seem to have a fascination with vans.
Yeah, well, they were cool, man. They were good. 70s vans were fucking cool. They had shag carpet and beds.
And
Maybe
lots
that's
of
where
room
it
for
started.
children, Pops.
I was gonna say, maybe that's where it started, I'm just saying. For me, the piece of shit kind of is the parents for letting this shit happen, but the main piece of shit in this is the people who made the camps. The people who are getting the money from taking the kids and kidnapping them and doing whatever they are and making the Epstein Islands and whatever. Those are the pieces of shit, who make the list and make the pizza menus or whatever.
Pizza menus.
Yeah. I'll take cheese.
The best way to break down Pizzagate. Those fucking pizza menus. You know what I'm talking about? Where you can just order a
Menus,
boy.
hey,
A place in D.C. Yeah.
hey, I
That
want a
means you're
Hawaiian.
piece of shit.
Okay. First of all, I hate to debunk that. I thought Pops would do that. Instead, he just broke down van knowledge. But what I thought he would say is, this wasn't really occurring like they say now, okay? We
No,
lived in
it
those
wasn't.
times. Kids weren't getting... I didn't know any kid who got kidnapped ever. And I went to a bunch of schools and I moved a bunch. They weren't just getting scooped up. It's easier to talk about things before the internet and make them legend. Same thing, like, if the theory of Bigfoot started today, it'd be done tomorrow. You know what I mean? But because it was before that, you can say, oh, maybe this guy saw this, maybe that guy saw that. Same thing with the kidnapped kids. What happened with the van was this. Just like everything else, when something comes out and it seems cool, there's always one guy like myself or Bobby who goes, how can I make fun of this? And he goes, oh, look, barely any windows. And then some guy's like, yeah, that's for fucking. And then some guy's like, yeah, boys. He's like, dude, not boys. I sleep with of-aged women. How dare you? He's like, nope, you're a kid fucker. That's a kid fucker van. And I'm going to tell everyone. And then he would go around and tell them. And everyone's like, you're right. Those vans do look like if I was going to fuck a child or kidnap them, I would put them in that van. Or an ice cream truck. And ice cream trucks are like, what the fuck? We're just giving ice cream to kids. Like, nope, you fist children sometimes. Like, god damn it. So anything like that didn't have a lot of windows became there. Not armored cars. They're like, you would never fuck a kid there. Here you could. You could fuck a kid in there. That's all I'm saying. It's not that in any way. Kids weren't really getting
Soundproof.
stolen and taken. And, by the way, we had things to stop it, Bobby. I don't know if you know this. There was a thing that was on television that every night. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? It would flash on the news, asking you as a drunken father or mother, as you're staring at the news and watching like Archie Bunker reruns. It would go, wait, where the fuck are my kids? Thank you, TV, for asking me to look for them. That was it. No one gave up. They were out there all the time. They were easier to steal and take because there weren't cameras or CCTVs and all these things all over the place, or door ring cameras. There wasn't a lot of ways to see your kid getting taken. Like now, where your kid still gets taken, but we can see it, which is super fun.
trace all
Now
the
we can
steps,
just
yeah.
now you can live action time catch that part that you were hoping would hide in your brain forever of seeing your children get stolen. Now you can see it over and over on a loop or in the news or anywhere you go. Back then, they'd have to have a sketch reenactment and have like a fat man who pretended he was a boy with a spinning hat on, and he would go, "I'm a little boy," and he'd get thrown in a fucking van and shit. Norm Macdonald broke it down best when he said you don't even need to have cheese sandwiches in the van to get the girl in the van who likes the cheese sandwiches. That's just an extra detail. But you do need a van. It's not anything like that. The piece of shit in all of this are all the people that are now saying, yeah, I remember all that. No one knew about Fuck Camp. No one knew about Fuck Island. No one knew about any of that shit. What did we do? We did who were your kids, and we did milk cartons. That's how we barely gave a shit. Because who's looking at milk cartons? Kids. Kids aren't detectives unless you're Scooby-Doo. Who the fuck's going to find it? No adults seeing that and going, oh yeah, I saw that boy. Let me get on the loose. It wasn't, no one gave a shit. We're running out of content. So how can we lie? How can we make things up? Oh, we have to go to a time before the internet to do this. Yeah, there might have been one place where people said they had their kids kidnapped, whatever. But what really happened was asshole parents sent their kids to a militant camp. And then when everyone died from that camp, they're like, we don't want to admit to that. Let's just say they were kidnapped, kind of. And it was a thing we didn't know. We got duped. You didn't get duped. You're a shit parent. And you want your kid to get beaten. And your hand hurt from hitting you. And you're a terrible person. That's what happened. The piece of shits are anybody who's pretending like this was a fucking thing when you were really just a shit parent.
Okay, I guess I wasn't there to tell you that. It seemed like there's a stark number of documentaries now on Netflix, all focused.
There's
on
8 million documentaries on Bigfoot, and they haven't found them. There's 8 billion documentaries on people who are Scientologists.
And the Loch Ness
none of them
Monster.
at the end were Scientologists. Loch Ness Monster. There's not as many on him because when you're in the water, no one gives a fuck. Just drain the lake. That's an easy documentary to do. Drain the lake. He's not in there. It's not like you're having like cargo come back and forth through Scotland. We talked the other day about Scotland. Fuck Scotland. It shouldn't exist. It's the Chicopee or Holyoke of fucking Europe.
I'm Scottish. I'm Scottish.
Exactly.
Man. Come on, no.
Fuck you.
I'm French, Canadian, and Scottish, which makes me I'm a drunken lover and cheap. Leave me the fuck alone.
Or just the world's biggest fag. But anyway, either one of those two.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, way to admit gay shit. I like Vans, and I'm the worst places ever. All right.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah,
I'm not on the list.
It's dumb. Yeah, you're not on the list. You are right.
For me, the piece of shit is anybody who got caught. Like
Like the people
one-
or the kids?
the adults. I mean, the kids should have fought better. Like I've said that, but they're going to be a couple of them were just clearly autism cases that weren't diagnosed with autism yet.
Yeah,
They're
you're
like,
stealing the
"Let's beat this kid
non-focused.
till-"
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that, and a lot of them were like heroin addicts, so just get them when they're nodding off. But there was one guy in particular who got busted for a camp in the desert, and then moved his whole operation to an Asian country, and just instead of hiking, it became a sweatshop. He Americanized the Chinese sweatshop, and for me, that guy's the hero.
Capitalism.
So anybody who didn't do that is the piece of shit.
He's a hero.
Yeah, he went, how can I make money off of shitty kids? Oh, I know. Do what the Chinese do. Normally, they're ripping off our ideas. He took their idea and ripped it back.
Culture appropriation.
Exactly. It's finally
Bobby,
time
we go
we
a
got to
step
win for the
further.
white folk.
You want to tie in what you just said to our last story? You know what today's sweatshops are, right? Social media.
Social media, yeah.
What are parents doing? They're taking their children, using them as content. They're not getting paid. Yeah, you might get given a house and home, and you might get some food, and might get to go somewhere off the money. But how about those 2 women who just got put in jail and sentenced for doing those TikToks that were influencers of teaching people how to parent your kids, and they were fucking torturing their fucking kids.
Oh,
They
the
had them
Mormon-
duct taped and shit. Yeah, that whole group of
Yeah.
people there. And it was the influencers and all that way of doing that and beating the shit out of the kids, starving them. That one kid in duct tape had to run out of the house and yell to people, I'm being duct taped and shit, for someone to go, okay, we'll help you now. And even they tried to blame being duped by social media and all that. We're using children on there more than ever. The news person that you're talking about, Bobby, the new genius is fucking one Mark Zuckerberg. He is forcing children to being little dancing shitheads. And anyone else that runs any social media, I'm looking at you, Elon Musk. No, I'm not. I don't give a fuck. But
I'm in
I'm saying
TikTok
that's
too.
the new sweatshop.
TikTok.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and-
Pops,
Go
you
ahead.
can't say that because TikTok is Chinese. And they were in the OG of sweatshops. So they're not doing a new thing. They just moved into a different environment. They're doing what they do. You know what I mean? They can't help that. You know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know, I talked to the
true.
TikTok vice president, Ching Chong Bing Bong. That's his name. It's just unfortunate that's his name. But he did say, "Oh, that's terrible." So that was a quote from him.
I forgot we did the Instagram and Facebook story. So I thought the two stories you wanted to combine were kidnapping kids and Giddy's hangout.
Stop going with
Shit
Giddy's
was going to
hangout.
be Josh Giddy for not kidnapping kids to bring him to his hangout.
It's unfortunate that our thumbnail for the show is going to have Charles Barkley and Gibby on it, both hopefully shirtless, if I can find those pictures.
Oh, you
and just
can.
going, Sex Sells will be the name of the show. So, Bobby, who do you think the piece of shit is in that?
For me, it was anybody who didn't profit off of it. Like a lot of these people ended up financially bankrupt.
Oh, that was
running
real.
the
Okay,
camps.
I didn't know if you were
that
doing
was my
like-
piece of shit. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a big capitalist.
I was like, do you want to redeem that one and not
Capitalism.
name
Yeah.
the greatest of
Can you
all
imagine
time?
if Trump ran one of those camps? I've got the best camp, best labor.
Yeah, but he
lowest-
filed bankruptcy and nobody would get paid anyway. So
Exactly. It's a win-win. Those kids learn a real lesson.
American worker.
I mean,
Sign
Trump
underage.
kind of did it. Trump kind of did it with that Miss Universe fucking patch because they weren't 18. You know what I mean? He was working. He can say what he wants. They weren't.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Can't argue with you.
Or he had to go in and check the rooms to make sure they were safe for them.
Dude, listen. All I want is for all rooms to be safe. Comedy rooms,
Yes.
fuck rooms, van room, whatever you need. We need to have safe.
That's it.
Pops, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on this morning. Again, let people know where they can follow you on social media.
Pops Therian, POPPS. Yeah, that's it. Instagram, Facebook, emtcomedy.com. Pat, Bobby, I really thank you for having me on. It was really fun.
A lot of fun.
Thanks,
times.
man.
Really
Thanks
fun.
for joining us this morning. Bobby, you got anything else you want to yell at people about?
Follow me. Check out Dead Crow Comedy this weekend with Aaron Berg.
If you see Bobby's shorts that he's been sharing of his shows that make no sense, well, two things. One, share them. And then B, let us know what you think that's about. Because I want to let people, I think, Bobby, what we have to do soon is take some of the clips pretty soon with a guest. Maybe not for Friday, maybe next week. Put them up there, and then we have to do a game, me and the other guest, and guess what that was about that you put up there. And I was on the show, and I don't even know what the short was about. But you see those, share those. Let people know about this. If you're enjoying the morning shows, really appreciate everybody that was viewing today. Everybody that jumped in. It was all great. Jim and Fun with Dirt and Aaron and all the people that jumped on today. We really appreciate you. It was a lot of fun. So subscribe to the channel. Please like the videos, all that kind of fun shit there. We really appreciate everyone joining every morning. This Friday, comedian Dan Brown will join us at 8 a.m. Check that out. If you haven't watched last night's POS, it's a fucking fun one. If you've been on board with Bobby's The Game, we go really hard into the fucking worst game humanly possible. So go check that one out there. That's up there now. So once again, Pops, thank you so much. Bobby, leave us with some words of wisdom.
Pain fades, scars the chicks dig 'em, but glory lasts forever.
Go Gibby. Gibby.
Peace.